to the second episode of What Paints, and today we're going to show what paints we use for the Pegasi for Heroes of Might and Magic 3, the board game by Archon Studios. It's a pretty great Pegasus model. If you played Warhammer, it'd be a cool Peg Knight too, Captain. So let's show the steps used to paint this up. So because there's a lot of white, I didn't want to prime it black, so I use Citadel Color Gray Sear Primer. So we'll start with the base first. For the grass I did Golden Olive, and then I washed it with Asgardian Camo Shade. And then I brought it back up with Golden Olive and used Lime Green on it for the highlights. So rim is also Golden Olive too. So I started with Golden Olive, then washed that with Camo Shade, you can see in the recesses. Brought it back up with Golden Olive, cleaning it up, and then for the final highlight, I didn't dry brush it, I used my brush with the Lime Green. So the rocks on the base, I used light gray model color, then I used Soulblight Gray, a shade on that. Brought it back up with light gray, and then I highlighted it with Celestial Gray. Celestial Glaze there on the highlights. Sometimes I use Soulblight Gray on wings too, but I just dry brush them this time. If you wanted to give them a little more definition, you could put Soulblight Gray on it. If you use non-oil, it's pretty thick. That's why I don't put it in wings too much. It's hard to clean it up. For the branch, twig, tree that's on the base, I started with Morphang Brown. I didn't wash it. If you do get the Camo Shade from the grass or the Soulblight Gray from the rocks on it, you can just clean it up back up with Morphang after. But for the layer, I put Flat Earth by Model Color. And the very edge highlight, I put Talon Sand. Games Workshop names are always weird for paints. So yeah, the base was just Morphang. Flat Earth is on there too. And on the edges is a Talon Sand. And we'll move on to the face next. I used Amber Skin by Army Painter War Paints. Then I 50-50'd Amber Skin and Pale Flesh, similar to the same way I did the Dark Child in the previous one. And then the highlight, I went back and did Pale Flesh. And the lips are Game Color Succubus Skin. So you just got to be careful trying to get your paintbrush in there and get the highlights in there. And her hand too had the same on it, and I believe, yeah, her hand's in there too. Right there. So the white on the Pegasi and its wings, I used Deck Tan Model Color, White Gray Model Color, and White Glaze from Model Color. So the wings, I did a base coat of the Deck Tan on them. I didn't wash it because I didn't want them to get too dirty or mottled with the wash. You could have put like a really thin coat maybe of Soulblight or non-oil. Then I dry brushed them, the wings, with White Gray. And this on the edges, I also dry brushed the White Glaze on them. And I did the same steps for the skin of the Pegasi, except I didn't dry brush it. So basic Deck Tan, then White Gray for layering, and then on the edges where light would hit, the glazes on it. I also put a tiny bit of diluted non-oil in the muscles too, if you want to give it a little more definition. Now the gold for her crown the hilt handle of her sword. And the Pegasi's hooves, I used old gold. Then I washed it with Seraphim Sepia. Cleaned it up with old gold. Used scale 75, elven gold, and bottle color gold. I'm using up some of my scale 75s. I know some of them are hard to find, so another alternative for that one, there's a lot from Vallejo or model color you can use. It has Bathethar gold. No, Bathethar gold's more of a yellow one. I forget, the Stormcast gold might have been able to work good, but I'm just using up paint, so that's what I used. Old gold was on there first and washed it with a sepia. Brought it up with that elven gold. There too, where the reflection would hit. It's the gold on the edges too. Make sure look where light hit it. Same as on the crown too. And sword there. And there is a little part of the crown that sticks out here, looks like wings. And right there too. So for the Pegasi's armor, Warpaint Army Painter has some pretty cool color metallics. So I started with Stark Emerald, washed that with Zirconian Cavusade, brought it back up with Stark Emerald, then used Tainted Gold, and again using up some scale 75 paints, but it's not much green metallics. Now we started using Army Painter. I might be able to find one that matches this color, but that's per alchemy. The greeny gold color there. The Dark Emerald first with the camo shade. Tainted Gold is there, you can see where the light would hit. And just some of the other light reflections would be the per alchemy. It's up there too. Under the neck. So I used black a couple spots on this miniature, but the ones I used were black model color, German gray, and dark gray. So the eyes of the Pegasi were in there was black, and then I took a dot of white, gray, and put them inside. Harness reins on there were black, then brought up with German gray and dark gray to highlight it. The rider's eyes also started similar. If you watched the previous video how we did eyes, I started with black inside the eye, put white in there in the circle, and then do black again, just a little dot. We didn't put any other color in there because they're tiny eyes and they're hard to do, but that's how we did the eyes too on this one. So the saddle she's sitting on and the handle for the sword, I used German Cam medium brown from model color, beige brown from model color, and tan earth. I started there on the handle, brought up with the beige, and then the highlights is tan earth. Saddle, same steps, if you can see it right there. So the lighters, cloths, outfit she's wearing. Started with Game Color Vallejo Angel Green. Washed that with Camo Shade. Cleaned it up again with Angel Green. Then used Uniform Green. And highlighted it with Warbox Green. So the base is just an Angel Green. You can see in the recesses has a Camo Shade. Uniform Green. I would have brought it up on layering. And the highlight has Warboss Green, just where the light would hit at certain spots. So the metal on the rider for the sword and for her armor started with natural steel. Washed that was non-oil. Cleaned it back up with natural steel. And did the highlight with Stormhost Silver. There. The rings on the reins there too has some. Sword. That's Stormhost Silver on the highlight there. Another boot. Pauldrons. And her back. In the front there, that was a little tough too, making sure you didn't hit anything else, but right in there too. So the blonde hair on the rider started with beige. I used a contrast. I find using contrast work just as good as shades too, depending how thick they are. So I went over the base with Ravin yellow, cleaned it back up with beige, used light yellow, and then ice yellow for the final highlight. So just start with beige, and you can see in the recesses that's the contrast. Ravin yellow. Some of the raised parts I put the light yellow, and just on the edges I put the ice yellow. And for the Pegasi's mane, tail, I wanted to be a little different, so I didn't put the contrast on it, but I started at ice yellow. Then I did a 50-50 mix with ice yellow and ivory. And just on the edges, I used ivory. If you wanted to have more definition, you could have used the contrast or the yellow one. But that's how the mane looks. And then it was coated with flat clear varnish from Cameo Color. Scene my daughter set up. She likes making scenes too with her little squigs, but that's a Pegasi done. So if there's any other Heroes of Might and Magic miniatures you're looking to paint up, I've painted a bunch for commission so far, so I have a few left. I might do the Dwarf up next, but we'll see. Or any other of the Marvel United that we already started. Let us know. Or there's something else that you want to see painted up, or what paints to use. Just message in the comments. And like we said before, all these miniatures and the background, lots of these are in our Etsy store too, because we don't have a patron. So if you want to support that way, that would really help. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you next time.